What is transgender? Transgender is an umbrella term used to describe individuals whose gender identity differs from the sex they were assigned at birth. While sex refers to the biological and physical characteristics such as genitalia, chromosomes, and hormones, gender identity is a deeply held sense of being male, female, or something else entirely, which may not align with the sex assigned at birth. Transgender people often experience a disconnect between their gender identity and the expectations or assumptions society has based on their assigned sex. Some transgender individuals may transition socially, medically, or both, in order to align their gender expression with their gender identity. This can include changes such as adopting a new name, using different pronouns, or undergoing hormone therapy or gender-affirming surgeries. It's important to note that being transgender is a distinct aspect of a person's identity and is not related to sexual orientation. Transgender individuals can identify as heterosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual, or any other sexual orientation, just like cisgender, non-transgender individuals. It's essential to respect and affirm a person's gender identity and use their preferred name and pronouns to create an inclusive and supportive environment for transgender individuals. What is the difference between sex and gender? Sex and gender are two distinct concepts that are often used interchangeably but have different meanings. Sex refers to the biological and physical attributes that typically categorize individuals as male or female. It is determined by factors such as reproductive organs, chromosomes, and hormones. In most cases, people are assigned a sex at birth based on observable physical characteristics, typically as either male, assigned sex of male, or female, assigned sex of female. However, it's important to note that biological variations can occur, leading to intersex individuals who may have atypical combinations of sex characteristics. Gender is a social and cultural construct that encompasses a range of roles, behaviors, activities, expectations, and identities associated with masculinity and femininity. Gender identity refers to a person's deeply felt sense of their own gender, whether it aligns with the sex assigned at birth or not. It is an internal and personal understanding of being male, female, or something else entirely, and may or may not be related to one's biological sex. Gender identity is self-defined and can vary across individuals. Some people identify as cisgender, which means their gender identity aligns with the sex they were assigned at birth, while others identify as transgender, meaning their gender identity differs from their assigned sex. In summary, sex is typically assigned at birth based on biological factors, while gender is a complex and multifaceted social construct that encompasses personal identity, expression, and societal expectations related to masculinity and femininity. What exactly does it mean to be transgender? Being transgender means that an individual's gender identity does not align with the sex they were assigned at birth. It is an umbrella term that encompasses people whose gender identity is different from the societal expectations associated with their assigned sex. Transgender individuals have a deeply held sense of being male, female, or a gender different from what was assigned to them at birth. For example, a person assigned male at birth but identifies and lives as a woman is a transgender woman. Likewise, a person assigned female at birth but identifies and lives as a man is a transgender man. Some individuals may identify as non-binary, genderqueer, genderfluid, or other gender identities outside the traditional binary of male and female. It's important to note that being transgender is a valid and authentic aspect of a person's identity. It is not a choice or a phase but rather a deeply felt understanding of oneself. Each individual's experience of being transgender is unique, and their journey may involve various steps, such as social transition, changing name, pronouns, appearance, medical transition, hormone therapy, surgeries, or a combination of both. Respecting and affirming a transgender person's gender identity by using their preferred name and pronouns, and creating inclusive and supportive environments are crucial for promoting their well-being and dignity. What exactly does it mean to be transsexual? The term transsexual is often used interchangeably with transgender. but it has historically been used to describe individuals who have undergone or desire to undergo medical interventions, such as hormone therapy or gender-affirming surgeries, to align their physical characteristics with their gender identity. However, it's important to note that the use of the term transsexual has decreased in recent years, and transgender is now generally preferred as a more inclusive and encompassing term. The experiences and journeys of individuals who may identify as transsexual or transgender can vary. Some individuals may choose to undergo medical interventions as part of their transition, while others may opt for social transition or a combination of both. It's essential to recognize that not all transgender individuals pursue or have access to medical interventions, and transitioning is a personal and individual decision. It's crucial to approach discussions and language surrounding transgender experiences with sensitivity and respect, using terminologies that align with individuals' preferences and current understanding. Have transgender people always existed? While the language and understanding of transgender identities have evolved over time, there is evidence to suggest that transgender people have existed across different cultures and throughout history. Many societies throughout the world have recognized and accommodated gender diversity beyond the binary concept of male and female. In various indigenous cultures, such as the Two-Spirit people among Native American tribes, there have long been recognized roles and identities for individuals who embody both masculine and feminine qualities or who have a gender identity different from their assigned sex. Similarly, some cultures in South Asia, such as the Hijra community in India, have a long history of recognizing individuals who are assigned male at birth but live as women. Historical accounts, myths, and religious texts from different regions also often include stories or references to individuals who challenge traditional gender norms. For example, figures like Joan of Arc in the 15th century or the Chevalier d'Eon in the 18th century had experiences that could be understood in contemporary terms as transgender. In India, Hindu deity is known as Ardhanarishvara or Ardhanareshwar. Ardhanarishvara is a composite form of Lord Shiva and his consort, goddess Parvati. In this depiction, the deity is shown as half male, Shiva, and half female, Parvati, representing the union and inseparability of masculine and feminine energies within the divine. The concept of Ardhanarishvara is symbolic of the idea that the divine encompasses both male and female aspects. It signifies the harmony and balance between masculine and feminine energies, emphasizing the interconnectedness and complementarity of these forces. The depiction of Ardhanarishvara has been an important symbol in Hinduism for centuries, representing the recognition and acceptance of gender diversity and the divine presence within all genders. It highlights the notion that gender is not a rigid binary but a spectrum that exists within the divine and in the human experience. The existence of deities like Ardhanarishvara and their portrayal in Hindu mythology further illustrate the long-standing acceptance and acknowledgement of gender diversity in various cultures and belief systems throughout history. It's important to acknowledge that the terminology and understanding of transgender identities may have varied across cultures and historical periods. Transgender experiences were often framed differently and may not have been described using the same language or concepts that are used today. Nonetheless, the existence of individuals who did not conform to traditional gender expectations can be traced throughout history. What are some categories or types of transgender people? Transgender people, like any diverse group, cannot be neatly categorized into specific types as their experiences and identities can vary widely. However, here are some common categories or terms that are often used to describe different experiences within the transgender community. Transgender man. A transgender man is someone who is assigned female at birth but identifies and lives as a man. Transgender woman. A transgender woman is someone who is assigned male at birth but identifies and lives as a woman. Non-binary. Non-binary individuals identify outside of the traditional male or female binary. They may identify as having a gender identity that is fluid, neither exclusively male nor female, or a combination of both. Genderqueer. Genderqueer individuals embrace a non-binary gender identity or express their gender in ways that challenge societal norms or expectations. Genderfluid. Gender-fluid individuals have a gender identity that is not fixed but can fluctuate or shift between different genders over time. Agender individuals do not identify with any gender or have a lack of gender identity. Bigender individuals identify as having two distinct gender identities, which can be experienced simultaneously or at different times. Two-spirit, this term originates from some indigenous cultures and refers to individuals who embody both masculine and feminine qualities, often encompassing a spiritual or ceremonial role. It's important to remember that these are not exhaustive categories, and individuals may identify in ways that may not fit into these specific labels. Gender identities are deeply personal and diverse, and individuals may use a variety of terms or create their own to describe their unique experiences. Respecting and using a person's self-identified gender is crucial for promoting inclusivity and understanding. Why are some people transgender? The exact reasons why some individuals are transgender are not fully understood. Gender identity, which is the deeply felt sense of being male, female, or another gender, is a complex interplay of biological, genetic, hormonal, neurological, and environmental factors. While research in this area is ongoing, there are several theories that attempt to explain the development of gender identity and why some people may identify as transgender. Brain development. Some studies suggest that there may be differences in brain structure or function between transgender individuals and cisgender individuals, those whose gender identity matches their assigned sex at birth. These differences may be related to the development of gender identity. Hormonal factors. Hormones play a significant role in sexual development and differentiation. It is possible that exposure to certain hormone levels during fetal development or later in life may influence the development of gender identity. Genetic and biological factors. There may be genetic or biological factors that contribute to the development of gender identity. Research has explored the potential influence of genetic variations or conditions that affect sex hormone levels or sexual development. Social and environmental factors. Gender identity is also shaped by social and environmental influences. Cultural, familial, and social factors can affect the way individuals understand and express their gender identity. It's important to note that being transgender is not a result of personal choice or upbringing. It is a deeply felt and authentic aspect of a person's identity. While the specific causes of being transgender are still being studied, it is widely recognized that being transgender is a valid and innate variation of human gender identity. How prevalent are transgender people? Determining the exact prevalence of transgender people is challenging due to factors such as varying definitions of transgender, social stigma, and limited data collection in many regions. Research and studies. However, research and studies conducted in different countries provide some insight into the prevalence of transgender individuals. It's important to note that prevalence estimates can vary significantly between studies, and these numbers should be interpreted with caution. Additionally, prevalence may differ across different populations and cultural contexts. Here are some general estimates. United States. The Williams Institute at the UCLA School of Law estimates that approximately 0.6% of adults in the United States identify as transgender. This estimate is based on the analysis of multiple population-based surveys. European Union. The European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights conducted a survey in 2019 and estimated that around 0.6% of the EU population identifies as transgender. Global estimates. The World Health Organization, WHO, does not provide specific global prevalence data for transgender individuals. However, some studies suggest that the prevalence of transgender individuals worldwide may range from 0.1% to 0.5% of the population. It's important to recognize that these estimates may not capture the full diversity of transgender experiences, as many transgender individuals may not openly disclose or identify themselves due to societal discrimination, stigma, or lack of understanding. Efforts to improve data collection methods and increase awareness about transgender identities may contribute to more accurate prevalence estimates in the future. Nonetheless, it is clear that transgender individuals are a significant and valuable part of the global population. What is the relationship between gender identity and sexual orientation? Gender identity and sexual orientation are two distinct aspects of a person's identity. Although they are often related in discussions about gender and sexuality. Here's an explanation of each term and how they relate. Gender identity. Gender identity refers to a person's deeply felt sense of their own gender, whether they identify as male, female, or another gender. It is an internal and personal understanding of oneself. Gender identity is not dependent on or determined by an individual's sexual orientation. Transgender individuals can have any sexual orientation, heterosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual, or any other sexual orientation, just like cisgender individuals. Sexual orientation. Sexual orientation refers to an individual's enduring pattern of emotional, romantic, and/or sexual attractions to men, women, both genders, or neither gender. It is about whom a person is attracted to emotionally, romantically, and/or sexually. Sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is not dependent on or determined by an individual's gender identity. Both transgender and cisgender individuals can have any sexual orientation. In simpler terms, gender identity is about who you are, your internal sense of being male, female, or another gender. While sexual orientation is about who you are attracted to. They are separate aspects of a person's identity and can vary independently of each other. It's important to understand and respect the diversity and complexity of individuals' gender identities and sexual orientations. Everyone has the right to self-identify and express their gender identity and sexual orientation in a way that feels authentic and true to themselves. How does someone know that they are transgender? Discovering and understanding one's gender identity is a deeply personal and individual process. While there is no one-size-fits-all answer, here are some common experiences and reflections that may indicate that someone is transgender. Persistent gender incongruence. An individual may experience a persistent disconnect or discomfort with the gender they were assigned at birth. They may feel that their gender identity does not align with the expectations or assumptions society has based on their assigned sex. Early awareness. Some individuals may express a sense of being different or not fitting into traditional gender roles from an early age. They may exhibit behaviors or preferences that are typically associated with a gender different from their assigned sex. Gender exploration. Exploring and experimenting with different gender expressions, identities, or presentations can be an important part of understanding one's gender identity. This exploration may involve questioning, researching, and connecting with transgender communities or resources. Inner knowing and self-reflection. Many transgender individuals describe a deep and persistent internal sense or knowing of their true gender identity. This sense of self may feel more authentic and aligned when they can express themselves in a way that matches their gender identity. Dysphoria or discomfort. Gender dysphoria is a term used to describe distress or discomfort that may arise from the incongruence between one's gender identity and assigned sex. Some transgender individuals may experience gender dysphoria, while others may not. It's important to note that not all transgender people experience dysphoria. Gender dysphoria is recognized as a psychological condition in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5. Which is used by mental health professionals for diagnostic purposes. Here is a detailed explanation of gender dysphoria. Incongruence between gender identity and assigned sex. Gender dysphoria typically arises when individuals feel that their deeply felt gender identity does not align with the gender they were assigned at birth based on their physical characteristics. This incongruence can cause significant distress and can manifest in various ways. Emotional and psychological distress. Gender dysphoria can lead to emotional distress, anxiety, depression, and a general sense of discomfort or dissatisfaction with one's body, social roles, and societal expectations. This distress is not simply a result of societal bias or discrimination, but arises from the internal incongruence between one's gender identity and assigned sex. Varied manifestations. Gender dysphoria can manifest differently among individuals. Some common manifestations include a desire to be seen as one's true gender, discomfort with one's body or physical characteristics, a strong preference for the social roles and behaviors associated with the gender identity, or a strong sense of unease or distress when being treated as the assigned sex. Persistent and insistent nature. For a diagnosis of gender dysphoria, the distress must be persistent, lasting for at least 6 months. It is typically characterized by a consistent and insistent desire to be of a gender different from the assigned sex. Treatment and support. Treatment for gender dysphoria can involve various approaches tailored to the individual's needs. This may include social transition, such as using a different name or pronouns, gender-affirming therapy, hormone therapy, and gender-affirming surgeries. Supportive counseling and mental health services are often provided to help individuals navigate their gender identity and manage distress associated with dysphoria. It's essential to approach gender dysphoria with empathy, understanding, and respect. Not all transgender individuals experience gender dysphoria, and it is not inherent to being transgender. Gender dysphoria is a medical diagnosis that helps individuals access appropriate support and care. But it does not define the entirety of a transgender person's experience or identity. How do transgender individuals make a gender transition? The process of gender transition, also known as transitioning, is highly individual and can vary based on personal preferences, cultural factors, access to resources, and medical considerations. Here are some common aspects that transgender individuals may consider when making a gender transition. Social transition. Social transition involves living and presenting oneself in alignment with their gender identity. This can include changes in name, pronouns, clothing, hairstyle, and mannerisms. Social transition can help individuals affirm their gender identity and be recognized and accepted by others in their daily lives. Legal transition. Changing legal documents such as identification cards, passports, and legal name and gender markers is an important step for many transgender individuals. The specific requirements and processes for legal transition vary by jurisdiction. Mental health support. Many transgender individuals seek support from mental health professionals experienced in gender identity issues. Therapy can provide a safe space to explore and address any emotional challenges associated with transitioning and to develop coping strategies. Hormone therapy. Some transgender individuals may choose to undergo hormone therapy to induce changes that align their physical characteristics with their gender identity. This can involve taking hormones such as estrogen or testosterone, which can lead to changes in body shape, fat distribution, voice, and other secondary sexual characteristics. Gender-affirming surgeries. For some transgender individuals, gender-affirming surgeries, also known as gender-confirming or gender reassignment surgeries, may be a part of their transition. These surgeries can include procedures such as chest reconstruction, top surgery, genital reconstruction, bottom surgery, facial feminization or masculinization, and other body contouring surgeries. Support networks and community. Connecting with support groups, transgender organizations, and the broader transgender community can be invaluable during the transition process. These networks provide understanding, guidance, and a sense of belonging. It's important to note that not all transgender individuals pursue medical interventions as part of their transition. Transitioning is a highly personal and individual journey, and the steps taken vary based on each person's needs, desires, and available resources. It's crucial to respect and support each individual's autonomy and self-determination in their gender transition process. Is being transgender a mental disorder? No, being transgender is not a mental disorder. The World Health Organization, WHO, has removed gender identity-related categories from the Mental Health chapter of the International Classification of Diseases, ICD, to depathologize transgender identities. Additionally, the American Psychiatric Association no longer considers being transgender as a mental disorder. As reflected in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5. However, it's important to note that gender dysphoria, which is the distress or discomfort individuals may experience due to the incongruence between their gender identity and assigned sex at birth, is recognized as a medical diagnosis. Gender dysphoria is included in the DSM-5 to ensure individuals have access to necessary health care and support services. It is important to distinguish between gender dysphoria as a medical condition and being transgender as a valid and diverse aspect of human identity. The depathologization of being transgender reflects a growing understanding that gender identity is a natural variation of human diversity, and being transgender is not inherently indicative of mental illness. It is crucial to promote understanding, acceptance, and support for transgender individuals and their lived experiences. What parents do. What should parents do if their child appears to be transgender or gender nonconforming? If a child expresses signs of being transgender or gender nonconforming, it is important for parents to provide support, understanding, and create a safe and affirming environment. Here are some suggestions for parents. Listen and validate. Create an open and non-judgmental space for your child to express themselves. Listen attentively to their feelings, experiences, and questions about their gender identity. Validate their emotions and let them know that their feelings are important and respected. Educate yourself. Take the initiative to educate yourself about transgender and gender nonconforming identities. This will help you better understand your child's experiences and challenges. There are numerous resources available, such as books, websites, and support groups, that can provide valuable information and guidance. Seek professional guidance. Consider seeking guidance from mental health professionals who specialize in gender identity issues. They can provide support for both your child and your family, offering insights and strategies to navigate the challenges that may arise during the child's gender exploration and transition. Respect and affirm. Use your child's preferred name, pronouns, and gender identity. Respect their autonomy and self-expression. Avoid pressuring them to conform to societal expectations or gender stereotypes. Affirm their gender identity by acknowledging and accepting their true self. Support networks. Connect with support networks, such as local LGBTQ+ organizations, parent support groups, and online communities. These networks can provide valuable resources, information, and support from individuals who have gone through similar experiences. Advocate for your child. Be an advocate for your child within your family, school, and community. Help educate others about transgender and gender nonconforming issues, promoting acceptance and inclusion. Work with your child's school to create a safe and supportive environment for them. Celebrate diversity. Teach your child the value of diversity and respect for others. Encourage them to embrace their unique identity and help them understand that being true to themselves is a strength. Remember, every child's journey is unique, and their experiences and needs may vary. Providing unconditional love, support, and acceptance is essential in helping your child navigate their gender identity and ensuring their well-being.